Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are looking at something that honestly feels a bit like science fiction.
But it's really not. I mean, it's happening right now.
Right, exactly. We're looking at the mechanics of workforce displacement and, creation, driven entirely by these massive large language models.
And automated systems, yeah. We've got a massive stack of research today.
Huge stack. We've got labor market projections, technical analyses, all of it trying to map out the next decade of work.
Which is, well, it's a lot to process.
It really is. Because the question for you, the listener, isn't whether artificial intelligence is going to change the economy. That's already a mathematical certainty.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
Right. The real mission of this deep dive today is to cut through the noise. What does this new economy actually look like? Are these tools just going to be, an exoskeleton for our brains, or
are they designed to just wipe out the knowledge workforce entirely?
Yeah. Will it replace us or create things we haven't even thought of yet?
And that's the real tension here, because we're in this transition period that is moving so fast. It's unprecedented in its velocity.
It's dizzying.
It is. I mean, look at past industrial revolutions. They took generations. You had time for the labor force to literally age out, or at least reskill.
Sure, yeah.
But the adoption curve we're seeing with generative AI and these autonomous agents, it's practically vertical.
It's a straight lineup.
Exactly. So we have to look soberly at the macro shifts. What happens when the cognitive tasks that basically define the middle class for 50 years are suddenly just commoditized?
And we're coming at this from two very different angles today. Because I look at the capabilities of these models, the huge context windows, the multimodal reasoning, the frictionless productivity of it all. And I am just in awe. I see the ultimate tool for deflation, eradicating drudgery.
Right, the optimistic view.
Yeah, democratizing high-level work.
Yeah.
But I know you look at the exact same data and you see structural fragility.
I do, because I'm looking at how capital gets distributed. And honestly, historical precedent. Whenever you decouple productivity from human labor this drastically,
you don't get a utopia right away.
No, you don't get a society of poets. You usually get severe economic dislocation. So we really need to dig into the sources and see how this plays out.
So let's ground this right now, in the present. Because one thing the sources make abundantly clear is that we are not talking about the future anymore.
No, the enterprise deployment is happening at scale today.
Right. It's already here.
Okay.
Let's start with something we all interact with, customer service.
Oh, absolutely. But we have to move past the idea of those awful, rigid chatbots from 5 years ago.
Oh, man, the ones where you just type agent, agent, agent over and over.
Exactly.
Yep.
The decision tree bots. What companies are deploying right now uses Arshad data retrieval augmented generation.
Basically letting the AI read the company's actual brain.
Right. It interfaces directly with their internal databases, their supply chains, all in real time. So it ingests this massive rambling email from a frustrated customer.
Parses what they actually want.
Yes. Checks the warranty policy, triggers a refund through an API, and writes back a highly empathetic response. In under 3 seconds.
3 seconds. And the economics of that, I mean, it's staggering. When you compare the cost of compute to a human, salary, benefits, real estate, turnover.
It's not a marginal reduction.
No, it's exponential. You take a support ticket that used to cost, say, $7 to resolve with a human.
No, it's fractions of a cent. Just API calls.
Fractions of a cent. It's wild. And that's why companies are moving so fast.
Because customer service was always a massive cost center, high turnover, and humans just have limits. A human can handle, 3 chat windows at once?
That's it, really good, yeah.
An LLM can handle 100,000 simultaneously in 50 languages.
Wow.
And the only thing holding it back before was hallucinations, right? Confidently making up fake refund policies.
Yeah, we've all seen those headlines.
But the grounding techniques are getting so strict now, the error rate is actually dropping below the human baseline.
That's the crazy part. It's better than us. And it's not just support tickets either. I mean, I was geeking out over the content creation pipelines in our notes.
Marketing applications.
Yeah. It's like having this eager, infinitely fast junior intern at your fingertips. You want to run an A/B test for a new product.
The AI doesn't just write the copy.
Right. It looks at historical click-through rates, spits out 50 variations of the text, mixes the visual assets, and predicts the conversion rate.
It's an infinitely scalable junior analyst.
Yes.
But the key word there in the research is junior. The current models are probabilistic inference engines. They're basically predicting the next most likely word.
The next token.
Right. They're great at interpolation, combining things that already exist, but they struggle with true extrapolation, paradigm-shifting creativity.
So they still need us.
They absolutely need a human in the loop to steer them, provide constraints, verify the logic.
Sure, but even with that human in the loop, the workflow compression is insane. A senior marketing director used to need, 5 copywriters?
And graphic designers. A whole team.
Over 3 weeks. Now that one director is just orchestrating the AI, refining outputs, and pushing the whole campaign live in an afternoon.
Which is incredible productivity. But those 5 junior copywriters...
Yeah, that requirement evaporates.
And it's not just digital work. The physical world is seeing this quiet, ambient layer of automation, too. Everyone thinks of level 5 self-driving cars navigating cities.
Which is incredibly hard because the physical world is messy.
Infinite edge cases. But the profound impact is in constrained environments.
Like logistics networks.
Yes, closed-loop supply chains. Predictive maintenance.
The sources show companies using neural networks to completely optimize global routing. It's not just reading a map. It's pulling in real-time weather, port delays, fuel prices.
Dynamically recalculating everything.
And doing it silently in the background. It's so cool.
It is, but inside an automated warehouse, computer vision is getting so fluid that human intervention is actually becoming a liability.
A liability?
Oh, yeah. Think about it. If one robotic arm in a massive facility finds a slightly better way to grip a weirdly shaped package,
it tells all the other robots instantly.
Exactly. The data propagates across the network. Every machine adjusts in real time.
So the efficiency is undeniable. But I guess this brings us to the harsh reality in the data, the chopping block.
The displacement metrics.
Yeah, if the network is that self-sufficient, what happens to the people who used to be the connective tissue? What jobs are genuinely on the brink here?
Well, the models are clear. It's not about blue collar versus white collar anymore.
Right.
It's entirely about the degree of routine cognitive processing. We are looking at a massive hollowing out of administrative, clerical, and mid-level analytical roles.
Let's talk about data entry. Because for decades, humans have basically just been biological APIs, right?
That's a great way to put it. The swivel chair labor.
Yeah, you get a PDF invoice, you open it, read it, turn around, and type those numbers into another system.
Mathematically obsolete.
Completely. Because with modern computer vision and natural language understanding, the AI doesn't just scan the document.
It understands the semantic content.
Right. It knows total amount due is the same as final balance. It doesn't care if the layout is totally different. It extracts it, checks it against the purchase order, and pays it.
And when you look at the sheer scale of displacement there, billing, payroll, compliance, auditing, it's massive.
Take the legal sector. Document review. Junior associates used to literally bill hundreds of hours just reading millions of emails during discovery.
Try and find one relevant conversation.
Exactly. Now an LLM ingests the whole corporate email history, maps out who talks to who, and highlights the exact thread where the compliance breach happened.
And writes a legal summary based on case law to explain why it matters.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But it completely upends the professional services model.
The pyramid structure.
Yeah. Law firms, consulting agencies, they have a few partners at the top. And this huge base of junior staff grinding out the lower level cognitive work.
If the bottom of that pyramid is automated, their entire billing structure breaks down.
And physical manufacturing too. It's not just dumb robots on assembly lines anymore, doing the exact same weld over and over.
Because deterministic programming fails if a part is 1 millimeter out of place.
Right. But now, with adaptive AI and computer vision, if a part comes down the line slightly warped, the system recognizes it.
It calculates the variance, adjusts the torque, and finishes the job without throwing an error.
Which replaces the assembly worker, but also the QA inspector and the floor supervisor.
This is the displacement risk we have to face.
Okay, but here's where we have to debate this a little. Because I look at this, the data entry disappearing, the legal discovery automation, and I think about history.
The adaptation argument.
Yeah. Humans always adapt. We've always automated the lowest value tasks. It forces us to move up the value chain.
You're referring to the lump of labor fallacy.
Exactly. The idea that there's only so much work to go around, and if a machine takes it, we're all unemployed. But new tech creates new demand, like the spreadsheet. When the spreadsheet came out, accountants didn't disappear. The cost of math went to zero, so businesses just wanted way more financial modeling.
They stopped doing arithmetic and became strategic advisors.
Yes. And I think we're seeing the exact same thing now, just with language and logic instead of math. If we automate the repetitive stuff, we free up humans to do the high-level strategy, the relationship building.
I don't disagree with the theory over a 50-year timeline. The friction is the speed.
The velocity of it.
Yes. Spreadsheets took a decade to fully integrate. People had time to upskill. These generative AI tools are rolling out globally in months.
But reskilling is always part of these revolutions.
But the barrier to entry is so much higher now. You're saying a 48-year-old payroll administrator whose job gets replaced by an API is just going to seamlessly pivot to being a strategic financial architect.
I mean,
it assumes a level of cognitive elasticity and access to capital that most people simply do not have. The displacement is immediate. The adaptation takes a generation.
That's a harsh reality. The speed does break the old retraining models.
We have a massive cohort of mid-career workers whose domain expertise might just drop to zero value overnight.
Okay, I hear that. I do. But we can't look at the destruction without looking at the creation.
The silver lining.
Because the sources map out some incredibly exciting new careers. The creation boom is real. We're seeing entirely new cognitive architectures in the workforce.
It is fascinating. Roles that sit right between linguistics, computer science, and psychology.
Let's talk about prompt engineers, because I think people hear engineering and they picture someone writing Python code in a dark room.
Right. But it's really about the semantic architecture of human language.
It's like being an AI whisperer or a translator.
Applied philosophy, really. Because an LLM is just the space of infinite possibilities. If you don't constrain it, it just gives you the most statistically average answer.
So the prompt engineer builds this highly specific linguistic box. They force the model down a narrow corridor to get the exact right output.
Programming with context.
Exactly. It's not just typing a question. It's multi-shot prompting. You set the persona, define the constraints, give it examples of good outputs, dictate the formatting.
Because a bank can't afford a hallucinated risk assessment.
Right. So the engineer designs a system prompt that forces the AI to only use the approved database, cite its sources, and trigger a human review if it's not sure.
And that role is already expanding into AI system architects, automation specialists.
Moving from one chat window to whole pipelines.
Agentic workflows. The specialist designs a system where one agent searches the web, hands the data to an analytical agent, which hands it to a reasoning agent, which hands it to a drafting agent.
A full cognitive assembly line.
And the human is the architect monitoring that entire flow, adjusting parameters, making sure it aligns with business goals.
Which means you really need to understand the messy reality of the actual business. You can't just slap an API on a legacy company and walk away.
No, you need someone who understands the idiosyncrasies to map them for the AI.
And what about the people actually teaching these models? AI trainers.
Reinforcement learning from human feedback, RLHF.
Yes. Everyone thinks AI just reads the internet and magically gets smart. But raw models are chaotic.
Wildly unpredictable.
So you need massive teams of human domain experts, doctors, coders, lawyers, constantly grading the AI's answers, rewarding good logic, penalizing hallucinations.
The AI doesn't learn accuracy or human values organically. It requires human hands.
Which transitions perfectly into maybe the most crucial new role in the data, the AI ethicist.
Or the alignment and risk mitigation specialist in corporate terms.
Yeah, this is where high-level philosophy meets corporate liability.
Because these models are trained on historical data, and human history is full of systemic bias and prejudice.
Right.
If a bank uses an AI for mortgage approvals, and it trains on 40 years of historical data, it's going to learn to redline certain neighborhoods.
Because that's what the data teaches it. And the legal damage from an algorithmic bias scandal like that would be catastrophic.
So the alignment specialist has to aggressively stress test the models. Red teaming, trying to force it to be toxic or illegal.
They build the guardrails.
Yes, they audit the data for balance. They build transparency so the company can legally defend the AI's decisions. It's a mix of law, risk management, and data science.
It's so interesting that these jobs aren't about doing the work, but managing the intelligence doing the work.
Exactly.
And this brings us to my absolute favorite concept in the research, the centaur model.
Ah, yes. The Kasparov analogy.
Right. Garry Kasparov, the chess grandmaster. After he lost to IBM's Deep Blue, he realized that a human playing alongside an AI, a centaur,
could beat a human alone or a supercomputer alone.
Because their strengths are perfectly complementary. The AI has flawless recall, instant calculation, never gets tired.
But zero intuitive grasp of strategy.
Zero. No psychology, no context.
So in a professional setting, take a complex legal defense. The AI retrieves every precedent, finds contradictions in the opponent's filings, drafts the technical arguments.
But the human lawyer, the centaur, reads the judge's mood.
Exactly.
The human understands the emotional resonance of the story they're telling the jury. They decide which of the AI's perfect arguments actually works in a messy human courtroom.
The human provides the why, the AI provides the how.
And for you listening right now, this is huge. You don't need a new job title to be a centaur. You can start today.
Audit your own workflow.
Yes. Find the routine tasks, delegate them to AI, and double down on the strategic, creative stuff the AI can't do.
Which is a perfect pivot to the untouchables. The roles the sources say AI simply cannot replace.
Because there's a hard boundary. Processing data is not the same as experiencing the human condition.
We always thought physical labor would go first, and cognitive work was safe.
And it's the opposite. AI can pass the bar exam effortlessly, but it cannot hold a grieving patient's hand. Our humanity is the protective moat.
Let's look at medicine and education. AI is already matching doctors at reading radiology scans.
But healthcare isn't just a data transaction.
No. A diagnosis is information. Healing is psychological. When a patient faces a life-threatening illness, a synthetic voice giving a statistical probability is useless.
It's cold.
They need the comfort of another human, someone looking them in the eye, validating their fear. The placebo effect proves how much trust impacts human physiology.
An AI can't generate empathy because it doesn't understand mortality. It has nothing to lose.
Its comfort is inherently hollow.
And that shared vulnerability is exactly why teachers are safe. We could give every kid an AI tutor right now that perfectly optimizes facts for their learning style.
Which is great for democratizing raw data.
But education is socialization. It's mentorship.
A great teacher does constant psychological mirroring.
Right. They look at a room of 30 kids and instantly feel the dynamic. They know a kid is failing the math test not because they aren't smart, but because their parents are divorcing.
The AI finds the math error. The human finds the emotional block.
Exactly. A machine can't look at a kid and say, I see potential in you, and have it mean anything. Inspiration requires lived experience.
Which extends right into creativity and entrepreneurship.
Oh, this is a big one. Because generative AI makes beautiful paintings, writes structurally perfect novels.
But it's derivative. It's just mapping statistical relationships between things humans already made.
It lacks the why.
When we look at a profound piece of art, we are looking for a connection with another human consciousness. How did they process grief or joy or injustice?
The AI hasn't felt any of that.
It doesn't experience heartbreak. It doesn't rage against mortality. So the art is aesthetically pleasing, but emotionally sterile.
You're buying the human perspective, not just the pixels.
Precisely. And that explains why entrepreneurship is safe. Starting a company is an irrational act.
So irrational. The statistics say you will fail.
An AI optimizing for probability would never tell you to start a disruptive company. The data says it's a bad bet.
Entrepreneurship is a localized hallucination, seeing a future that doesn't exist yet.
You have to convince investors to risk money, engineers to quit safe jobs, consumers to change habits.
It takes persuasion, charisma, irrational conviction. You can't automate sheer human will.
Which culminates in the ultimate untouchable trait, leadership.
Leadership is empathy plus strategy plus moral authority.
When a crisis hits, employees don't want a computationally optimal strategy from a server. They want a reason to trust the direction.
You can't follow a line of code into a crisis. You trust leaders because they share the risk. They take accountability.
And AI can't take accountability because it has nothing to lose.
So this completely inverts the skills market. For decades, we valued hard technical skills, coding, math, spreadsheets.
But if the machine is the ultimate technical worker,
Those hard skills are commoditized.
yeah,
And the soft skills become the hard currency.
communication, nuance, ethical judgment, emotional intelligence, adaptability, these unapologetically human traits are where the economic value will be.
Okay, so we've mapped the current state, the new jobs, the untouchables. Let's fast forward. What do the projections say about the next 10 to 20 years?
It's a fundamentally different topology. The biggest shift is the total integration of ambient AI assistants.
The chief of staff for everyone.
Everywhere.
I mean, imagine the operational velocity. Every single person, from CEO to intern, has a personalized AI. It sits in on every digital meeting.
Ingests all internal comms.
You wake up, and your AI has already summarized the emails from the overseas team, drafted responses for your approval, blocked out your schedule, and built the financial models for your afternoon pitch.
The productivity is immense, but we have to look at the structural vulnerability.
You're talking about the pipeline problem.
Exactly. The breakdown of the corporate apprenticeship model. How do you train a senior leader?
Historically, by making them do all the grunt work.
Right. A junior banker builds 100 financial models from scratch to intuitively understand a merger. An associate lawyer does grueling document review to understand case strategy.
So if the AI agent does all that entry-level cognitive labor,
How do the juniors ever build the foundational mental models? How do they eventually learn to manage the AI and make the high-level decisions?
we get a hollowed-out corporate structure. Just a few senior people at the top and no way to train the next generation.
Companies will have to radically redesign talent development. You'll have to learn by simulated strategic management from day one.
And that's just inside the company. The macroeconomic predictions are even wilder. New digital economies.
This is the most complex data we have. If AI truly decouples productivity from human labor,
It challenges the fundamental equation of capitalism.
human labor has always been the engine of value. You trade your effort for capital, use the capital to buy what others produce.
But if AI and robotics can produce infinite digital content, grow the food, make the goods, run the logistics, all with a fraction of the workforce.
The cost of production plummets towards zero. We get hyperabundance.
But
But if massive segments of the population are displaced and have no labor to trade for capital,
the demand side of the economy collapses. Nobody can buy the hyperabundant stuff.
which is why we might see a shift to an economy based on human attention, community building.
The experience economy. We're already seeing this. Digital content is valued explicitly because it's human. Information is infinite, but curation, perspective, parasocial relationships, that's the premium.
We may also see data labor economies, people getting compensated for the continuous stream of behavioral data they provide, which is needed to keep the AI models aligned.
It forces a total rethink of the social contract. Universal basic income, maybe?
Or massive expansions of the care sector subsidized by AI productivity. The current model of tying basic survival to routine cognitive labor is mathematically unsustainable.
Which brings us to the ultimate debate. Help versus harm. When the dust settles, what is the net outcome for humanity?
I look at the socioeconomic alignment, and I maintain my deep caution. Not because the tech isn't amazing, but because of how capital concentrates.
But look at the baseline elevation of human capability.
We have to be realistic about...
We are eradicating drudgery. We've tracked millions of brilliant minds in cubicles, making them act as biological routers for red tape. We tethered survival to mind-numbing repetition. AI shatters that.
For some, yes.
By automating the routine, we democratize intelligence. An entrepreneur in a developing nation with just a smartphone gets world-class legal and logistical analysis for free. We are mapping protein structures in days instead of millennia, accelerating medical breakthroughs.
That assumes the abundance is distributed equitably.
It's a modern renaissance, a society with hyperabundant resources, where humans are finally free to pursue profound creativity and science.
But historical technological leaps show that the owners of the infrastructure capture the exponential gains.
Well,
If a few massive conglomerates own the foundational models running the global economy, the wealth concentration will be unparalleled. We risk a neo-feudal architecture,
that's a very dark view.
a tiny elite controlling the cognitive engines of the planet, while the vast majority are just relegated to consuming synthetic entertainment, living off whatever universal basic income the system tosses them.
But the open source movement is incredibly robust right now. The models are shrinking, getting more efficient. They're running locally.
Yeah.
The intelligence won't just be centralized. It'll be distributed to every edge device on the planet.
Even if it is distributed, I worry about the psychological architecture of meaning.
How do you mean?
Humans are goal-oriented. We derive identity, dignity, and mastery from overcoming friction, from contributing value to our community.
Sure.
If the machine can paint the masterpiece, write the code, diagnose the illness instantly, you don't just eliminate the job. You eliminate the friction that gives life shape.
Wow.
A world of perfect convenience, managed by invisible algorithms, risks a profound crisis of purpose. We are prioritizing efficiency over the messy struggle of human engagement.
The crisis of meaning is a real concern. But you're assuming our meaning must be tied to economic productivity.
It has been for 3 centuries.
Right. But maybe the greatest gift of AI is forcing us to decouple our self-worth from our output. If we don't have to work to survive, we can choose to work on what matters. Raising children, philosophical exploration, making art just for the joy of the process, not for market value.
It's a beautiful pivot, philosophically, but incredibly hard to execute for a whole population.
It's a transition.
And we also have to address the sheer fragility of delegating civilizational infrastructure to black box systems.
The alignment problem.
Yes, the researchers building these models admit they operate via emergent capabilities they don't fully understand.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
If we entangle our power grids, financial markets, and judicial systems with probabilistic models where we can't definitively trace the reasoning, we surrender human agency, we become passengers.
That is the ultimate risk. The alignment problem is the most critical challenge in history. We're building an intelligence that amplifies whatever values we embed in it. If we embed short-term profit and efficiency at all costs, your dystopia happens. But if we embed transparency, equitable distribution, and respect for human dignity, we get the Renaissance.
Which is why this transition must be managed aggressively. The technology itself is agnostic. The outcome depends entirely on the policy frameworks and the choices we make right now.
Which brings us to the close of our deep dive today. We've looked at the staggering capabilities of these agentic systems,
The displacement of routine cognitive labor.
the incredible emerging sectors, prompt engineering, system architects, Centaur workflows.
And we've highlighted the absolute necessity of those untouchable human traits. Empathy, lived creativity, moral leadership, the protective moat.
We've stared directly at the risks of capital concentration and the crisis of meaning. The reality is, the architecture of work is being rewritten in real time.
The models will get faster, the context windows will get larger.
We can't opt out of this transition, but we can absolutely dictate how we adapt to it.
So as we wrap up, we want to bring all this macro theory down to you, the listener.
Take a ruthless inventory of your own daily professional output. How much of your value comes from just processing information, moving data, or executing routine logic?
Because that portion of your role is mathematically marked for automation.
The question you have to ask yourself, and this is the thought we want to leave you with, are you competing with the machine on its own terms, or are you aggressively cultivating the traits the machine cannot replicate?
Are you leveraging AI to handle the routine so you can double down on complex problem solving and deep empathetic relationship building?
Because the people who thrive in the coming decade will not be the best technicians. They will be the most profoundly and unapologetically human.
Master the technology as a tool, but anchor your value in your humanity.
That is the only sustainable strategy. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. The research is complex, the transition will be volatile, but the potential for an elevated human experience is entirely within our grasp.
If we navigate it thoughtfully.
Keep analyzing the trends, keep auditing your skills, and we will see you on the next deep dive. Take care.